Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Emily, homeschool mom to 2, 11 and 8 years old, and we are here to talk about games. In a previous video, I was showing our organization and someone requested that I go through the games that we have. Games feel very cozy for me, and it's snowing outside right now, so I thought I would wear my new favorite thing. It's a blanket. I'm wearing a blanket, and I've never been happier. It is so soft. It has a giant hood. It has these cuffed sleeves so it can't fall over your hands when you're snacking from the snack pouch. It's also big enough to put books and snacks, or a cat. You could fit a whole cat in there. It's really quite lovely. Okay, but anyway, games, cozy games. If you are headed into a gift buying season, some of these might make great gifts. Some of them are more specifically learning games, but mostly they're just super fun. And my kids, even the learning games, they will choose to play for fun. Some of them I've also not played. I'll show you everything that we have aside from the standard Sorry, Uno card games, although my kids are loving Uno and Skippo right now. Those are great choices. Battleship, things like that. So everything other than that is here. Although I did buy some new ones for Christmas. I bought one and it's not arrived yet. I recently played it with a friend and I thought I need to have this. And I can't think of its name, so I'll have to show you in a later video. I attempted to organize these into types, and then I realized that was too hard for my brain. So we're going to dive in and see if I can make any sense of it. I'm going to be kind of brief because there are 22 games here. So hold on to your hats. First up, single player games. Puzzle game from Smart Games. I don't have the name of this one anymore. We got rid of the box because it's self-contained here. I wouldn't throw this into a backpack and count on it staying closed because the lid does come off pretty easily, but otherwise it all stays together. It has adorable little mushrooms. It's the cutest. Foxes to avoid because, well, they'll eat you since you are an adorable little bunny. There are 3 bunnies, white, gray, and brown. And in the puzzle book, it tells you how to set things up. The mushrooms cannot move, the foxes can slide, and you have to get all the bunnies to safety by jumping them into their little holes. And there are different levels, beginner up through wizard, I believe. And it shows you where to place each piece to start. And the very, very beginner ones don't have foxes at all. I don't know if you can see when they go in there, they kind of fall further down in. They're hiding in their burrows. It's adorable. It's hard to pick up and show to a camera. So anyway, this one is super cute. Great puzzle game. One person can do, or I've worked on it with my kids too. So this one is great. I will try to find its name and a link to post in the description below. Also from Smart Games, another similar puzzly kind of game is Walls and Warriors. So just like the bunny game, this one has a book that shows you how to start the puzzle. So you have to put certain pieces, certain knights, the blue and the red knights, in certain places and certain pieces of the wall. Is that true? I think maybe just that center section with the tall towers has to go in one place. And then all of the other wall pieces you can move around. You want the blue knights to be contained inside and all of the red knights to be outside the wall, and then you've solved the puzzle. Both games also have solutions in the book if you get stuck. And last but not least, for our single player puzzle games, Architecto. This one is really cool. It comes with all of these orange blocks. If I could open it, I would show you. With these orange plastic blocks, different shapes, and it has a giant book, and it shows you a picture, and it tells you which pieces and how many you need at the bottom. It also gives you a scale to show how hard, how tricky it is. So you can start with something more simple and then work to something more complex. And basically you take these pieces and build this. Let me show you a more complicated one. So these. And you have to figure out how to get to this with the pieces that you have. Again, it's meant to be a single player, but if you have little people and they want to work on it with you, that can be fun too. It says it's for ages 7 and up. That's probably pretty spot on. It might be harder to manipulate and figure that out unless you have a super spatially aware small person. A math game that we are loving is Outnumbered. I've seen this in a lot of homeschooling groups. It's great. There is dice, there is math, there are superheroes. It is cooperative, but not boring. A lot of times I think that cooperative games maybe I've just been playing tiny little kid crappy cooperative games. But a lot of the ones that I've played are not so much on strategy. This one you still need to use strategy, but you can help each other. You're working together towards a common goal, and it doesn't feel lame. It's really, really cool. So they're bad guys, and the bad guys are moving down the board, and you have to keep them from getting to the bottom. As they progress down, you want to stop them. They're on cards that slide down the board. Each of the villains, the bad guys, has a number on their card, and you roll dice. You choose a character at the beginning, a superhero, and each one has a special power. So you can use that throughout the game to help you manipulate the numbers on the dice to get the number on the card. So you could do a dice that rolled a 3, a dice that rolled a 4, multiply them together, and then get rid of a card that has a 12 on it. Or you could do other things to manipulate it. So if your kids are just adding, they can add them together, they can subtract, you can practice multiplication, division, all of it. So this one's a lot of fun for math skills. My kids will actually choose this on their own. It's not, it's a math game. So that's really great. Most people know about Quirkle, pretty popular. This is a game that I had before we even had kids, and my husband and I would play a lot together. My kids are just starting to learn this one. For some reason, it got buried. When you have a number of games, you know how it is. You go in phases, playing one more than the other. A great patterning game, logical thinking. It does help build strategy skills the more you play. And it is one that you can make. It says 6 and up. That seems pretty spot on because little kids can just start matching and making patterns and not really worrying about the score so much. But with older kids and adults, you can focus more on actually what's going to get you a higher score. So that's a great one. Not gonna lie, my kids like playing this game. I haven't loved it. I love the idea. Dungeon. So this is the Dungeons and Dragons, which my kids play the actual Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game with their friends online. This, I think I can solve the problem. You pick a character, and depending on the type of character that you are, you need to collect a certain amount of treasure. Characters that are stronger need to collect more treasure, whereas the others need a little bit less. Either way, I could cut that amount of treasure in half and be much happier with the length of the game. Otherwise, this is a great game. It just lasts too long. So if your kids are open to the idea of cutting the amount of treasure that they need to collect, This one's a lot of fun. You move around this huge board and enter different rooms and attack monsters. You're rolling dice. You're thinking about where you want to travel. It is a lot of fun. It just lasts forever. That's the part I don't like. So maybe I could talk my kids into that. Kids that like fantasy, D&D characters, dragons, monsters. What could be better? We have a Harry Potter version of Labyrinth. Labyrinth is, it's a big maze. It's a labyrinth. You guys, this game is great. If you've never played it before, you're sliding pieces back and forth, and it constantly changes the board and changes what path you can follow, and you are collecting, in this version, you're collecting characters from the Harry Potter movies as you go. Fun. Not a huge favorite in our house, but it's a keeper. A huge favorite in our house, and I actually asked both of my kids before starting what their top 3 or 4 games were, and both of them named Azul. If you do not have this, buy it. Somehow it was in, I think I maybe bought it for myself for Christmas many years ago, and it sat in the closet unopened for about a year. And it was very sad because we wasted a year of our lives not playing this game. It's so good. It doesn't take a ton of setup. After you play one time, it's pretty easy to figure out the rules. Speaking of which, reading the rules for a new game can be very intimidating. I like to watch it played on YouTube. That's my favorite channel. Some channels go through things too quickly and it's hard to pick up all the important rules. Some channels go too long, kind of like me. If I were to explain how to play each game in detail, you would maybe want to fall asleep. But Watch It Played is a great balance. He explains all of the rules well, doesn't take too super long. But one round of this and you'll have it figured out. It's gorgeous. I know they have many different variations of this game, and I don't have any of those, but I am curious to try because we all love this so much. Another perennial favorite, Ticket to Ride. We only have the original game. I know there is a version for kids, and I know there are different places around the world, different maps. We only have this original version of it, which is a map of the US, and love it. What does it suggest for ages? It suggests 8+. That feels pretty good. My youngest was playing when she was probably 6 or 7, but she couldn't read and follow all the maps really well. So she couldn't take advantage of all of the extra ways to get points, but I could kind of help her in that, and then it was fine. But now she can play independently. She'll be 9 at the end of February, and she plays on her own, and she can kick our butts. This is a great one. It is a longer game, but not, I always am curious, 30 to 60 minutes? 60 minutes. Anytime I see an estimated time of gameplay on a game, I'm like, do we double it? Is it because it's children? I don't know. Great game. Santorini, Greek Gods and Goddesses. This is one that we played when I first got it years ago. And there are different ways to play. You can play a sort of base version without the Greek Gods and Goddesses cards. And then once you learn that base version, you can add those in to give you different powers and abilities as you play. We have never even played with the cards, but my kids were young and I knew this game had promise. So I've kept it, and I think it might be time to bring it back out, especially because we've been listening to Greeking Out. So many of the gods and goddesses on the cards will seem more familiar. So this one, I think, it's been a while, but I think we might need to bring it back. So you are building a city on this little board, and you have to move around, very strategy based, trying to block the other person. So even just playing without the cards was a lot of fun for my kids when they were younger, but we're gonna need to revisit this. Quick party game. If you have a bunch of people, you do need at least 3 people, but you can play it with more. If you have a very physical group and want to get up and moving, or just want a quick, easy to learn party game, Happy Salmon. I thought it sounded adorable, so I bought it, and it is kind of adorable. I've already forgotten what it is. Oh, you have cards in your hand and they have different motions, and you want to match up with somebody else and do the thing with them, whether it's a fist bump or a high five, something like that. And then you're moving and running around the table. Great for active little people and a lot of fun. It takes, what does it say? 90 seconds. It really does. A round of this is so fast. So great option. Last year when I was shopping for United States history stuff, I also grabbed a few games. Now, this part is not so much on the review, but just letting you know that there are options, because 2 of the 3 we haven't played yet because I'm terrible at planning. This one, Rolling America, it's a dice game. You can play it by yourself or with others. It says it's 15 minutes. I like a nice quick something if you need to fill in. It's just a matter of me figuring out the rules and doing it. I love the case though. Packaging matters. It has a nice magnet, holds it closed. There's a bag with dice, and then there are sheets with map, a very boxy looking map of the states. So maybe some geography, maybe some math with the dice. I have no idea. When I play all these, I'm gonna have to do another update on what we thought. Another vote in favor of this adorable little thing. I'm guessing it probably doesn't cost too much either, so maybe a great stocking stuffer if that's something you're into. But also it is, I'm trying to get the bag in here. It is a Game Right game, and I've had a lot of good luck with their games. In fact, another Game Right game, Dragonwood. This is one of my favorites. My kids will play it anytime I suggest it, even though they didn't. My oldest did list this as one of his favorites. My daughter didn't, but she is happy to play it and kick our butts anytime. There are dice, there are cards, there are monsters, and there is fun. Even though it is competitive, like you are trying to beat the other people, it is not a cooperative game. I do find that we end up cheering each other on as we're attacking a monster, trying to collect the points from it. So this one's a lot of fun. It's also, I like the way it looks. The artwork is a lot of fun. So dice, cards, monsters. It's great. I got distracted, you guys. I started talking about Game Right. We were talking about US geography, trails. This is the tiny version of the larger parks game about national parks. So this is a small version. It's supposed to be a much faster play. This is another one that we have looked at. I started reading the rules and we haven't actually done it. It's 20 to 40 minutes. Okay, so it can be pretty short, but the artwork is gorgeous. Let me show you. These are the cards that make up the board, so you can switch it around. So it's a little different each time you play, but aren't they so pretty? It's so pretty. I'm just blocking my face. So pretty. Again, I'll let you know what we think after we actually play it. Scrambled States of America. This one is so fun. It's based on the book. If you haven't read it, it's delightful. This does come with a little version of the book inside. Maybe because it's the deluxe edition. I don't know if they all do. But it has the book in here. And it's just fun. It's just fun. There's not a lot of strategy. there's no strategy, there's a lot of luck. It will help your kids better remember the states and some information about them. Mine are able to label a map pretty well, and that's not a thing we've ever really studied specifically, like trying to memorize where the states are. But it's kind of nice to be familiar with where things are in your country. So if you're from the States, cool option. Another one that everyone knows about is King Domino. We finally got this last year, and it's great. It's not a favorite around here, but it is a lot of fun. So you have your little kings or queens, as you so choose. Although there is a queen domino, I have not played that. Your colored castle. And then there are all of these dominoes. And you have to match up the landscapes to build a kingdom. And then you score it. There's math involved. There's multiplication, I think. I can't remember. This box is heavy. There's a lot of stuff hiding in here. This is one that I randomly found at Target last year and decided to give a try because it sounded cool. And it is kind of cool. Being a detective game, you can imagine it is critical thinking, logic, skills to figure out who done it. Inside there are cases, and it's really cute because they're in case files. The board is the town, and you're moving around town to figure out who committed a crime. They're very innocent crimes, so it is little kid appropriate. Everyone gets a card that has all of the potential suspects. You find physical features as the clues to help you determine who is or who is not the culprit. So they might have a hat or not have a hat. They might have braces or not have braces. That maybe they have freckles or they don't have freckles. So that's how you're figuring out as you go. And you get a sheet of paper like this, where as you talk to each witness around town, you might make a little note about, do they have hats? Do they have freckles? And then cross out who is not it until you have one left. The files I think are pretty cute because they actually look like little file folders. And there are 40 of them, so you could play 40 different games. And then chances are you've forgotten the rest and could start over. So there is a little story inside. Each witness has many cards, so they can give you different bits of information depending on which case you are following. So in this case folder, it shows you where to place, which cards to place on the board and where to place them. My kids love it because some of the clues you have to read with a mirror. Some of them you get to use this red magnifying glass to reveal the clue. And then at the end, you use this card to place over, and it reveals who did it and where. So they like all the little bits and pieces that go with this one. A classic that I'm sure many of you already have, but I need to know. How do you pronounce the name of this? Rummy Cub, Rummy Cube. It is spelled like Rummy Cub, but I've heard many people say Rummy Cube. So tell me, Cub, Cube, short or long? I don't know. Anyway, if you do not have this game, I did not play this until I was an adult and had children. This one is a lot of fun. Like many other rummy type games, you either need the same number with different colors or numbers in a row that are the same color. There is a wild that you can use. And once you have put things on the board, you've played something, you've put something in play, you can move tiles around other people's tiles and add to those. Cool game. Cool game. This one I no longer have the box. I took it and put it in a tiny little bag. If you have a kid that loves cats, if you have a kid that loves logic puzzles, cat crimes, for the win. It is a game you could play by yourself, or you could play with others. It comes with this little board. They may have spilled your coffee. They may have eaten the bird. Different colors indicate how their difficulty level. So you can read through the clues. As you read the clues, you are placing adorable little cats at their spot around the board. And then whoever is left sitting at the scene of the crime is the cat who committed the crime. You flip the card over and it shows you how they're set up and which cat is the naughty cat in question. My kids love this one. We haven't played it in a while. This one comes and goes in phases. I could sit by myself and play the red hard level, and it would take me much too long to get it. I'm embarrassed to say. This is a game I think I bought when my kids were a little bit too young to play it, and we haven't really revisited it. Qubits. This comes with, although you would need to match the colors, these little trays and qubits. So this game, you're always trying to match this pattern, but in 3 different rounds, doing it in different ways. If you are playing by the rules or not, it's kind of fun to have. And they look cool. The last 2 are my youngest's favorite games. Unfortunately, they're also the most complex, like world building games that are listed for ages 10 plus. That means that not necessarily that you have to be that old to play it, but it does mean that it's going to be a more complicated, time-consuming, detail-oriented game. So, with that in mind, here are 2 of the most beautiful games that ever existed. Everdell. This is the most lovely thing. You actually built, it's so heavy. If you can see on the back, there is a board and there is a tree that you build. You are little creatures preparing for the winter. And you're collecting little resources, and it's adorable. Now, I've only ever played this with children and only a couple of times. So have I played it to its fullest extent? Probably not. I can tell you that it's lovely. I can tell you that the artwork on the cards, gorgeous. If you like card deck building games, if you like something that's going to take a little bit longer, how long does it say it takes? 40 to 80 minutes. That's hopeful. And if you're playing with somebody who knows what they're doing, it is really great. My daughter loves it. She's only, like I said, she's 8. It is expensive, but the quality is great. And there are a lot of pieces in here. I would compare it probably to the Wingspan game, that kind of big, very detail-oriented deck building situation. Everdell. Adorable. Another one of my daughter's favorite games, Flamecraft. This is another beautiful game. It's also another longer game. It takes some setup. It takes a while to play. What does it say on here? 60 minutes. More than 60 minutes for us. But it also says 10 plus and she is 8. So that might be why. But this game, I think I like better now for us than Everdell. Probably because it does make a little more sense to them. And each turn is a little more peppy. I don't like when I'm sitting and I'm waiting for someone else to do 400 tasks in a game, especially with children, because I don't know if you know this or if yours are like this, they're indecisive. Oh, so Its board is actually a mat that you unroll. It's very long. What is this, like 4 feet? And it has these shops around the edges. And it has this path with numbered stones. I don't know if you can see them, but this path here is where you keep track of your points to see who's going to win. So you are using these artisan dragons to help you out in the shops that you set up. Anyone can go to any shop though. And as you complete these tasks, you are gaining reputation points. So you're moving around that path with the numbers to keep track of those reputation points. Along the way, you are collecting different resources. There are leaves and bread and meat and potions, all different things depending on the dragon. And these shops are lovely. They have some cool names. The bread shop is called Critical Rolls, and looking for that kind of wordplay is really fun for my kids. I found that the images are pretty diverse, which is encouraging. Some just have dragons and not any people. And what is that? The wishing well. And there's different things you can do at different ones. So that can get more complicated, which is why it's a 10+ game. I think it's a 10+ game. Yes. But it is a lot of fun. It moves a little more quickly for me, which makes it more interesting. Again, because of all the components and all the moving pieces, it is a more expensive game, but we've had a lot of fun with it. And this one, I think, has been easier for my kids to learn than something like Everdell or Catan or the other big, long games that are reminiscent of Monopoly and make me want to crawl in a hole. So that's it for us. I think my personal favorites to play with kids or otherwise are Azul, Ticket to Ride, and Dragonwood. I do really like Flamecraft if I'm up for something that takes longer. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you saw some games that were new to you and might be interesting to gather your kids around the table this long, cold winter. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.